Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is working with our no fire, low fire piping paste. You'll need some of our glass medium also, and one of our piping bottles with the pink tip is what I prefer when I do what I call brush embroidery. You also will need a size 4 brush, and I'm going to demonstrate. I've got 2 sables here, and then I've got a tack-on brush here also to show you how they both work. We do have paste kits on the website available. We have the black, the white, or we have the combination that has both the black and white in it. Each kit does come with a brush. Okay, so I'm going to get these out of the way and we'll get started. So what I've done is take one of our tools and I've filled the bottle. Okay, it has a very narrow opening. This is our 1 ounce squeeze bottle, but as you can see, that spatula or the tool will get in there. The piping bottle, the kit comes with the bottle and 2 different size tips, a yellow and a pink. The pink is a larger opening, and that's the one that I like. I've also got white paste in a bottle, and then I've just got a damp paper towel that I'm keeping the tips down inside. That's just to keep that moist so that it doesn't dry out on me, okay? And then I've also got the glass medium. I've put in 2 different wells, and that's so that I can clean my brush. I have a dirty and a clean, and I like to keep a paper towel beside my palette so that I can wipe my brush off. And then I also will have another paper towel just to clean my brush if I need it, okay? Alright, so always double check to make sure that your product is coming out. Okay, and when you're putting the tip back inside your damp paper towel, don't squeeze in and put it in there and then release, because what's going to happen is going to draw the water that's in that paper towel up into the tip, and then you've got water that you're going to be squirting out onto your piece. So that's not a good thing at all. Okay. So what I like to do is condition my brush by basically soaking it in the medium and then just blot it out, or you can pinch it to a flat, okay? So that it has a nice chisel edge. There's the flat, there's the chisel, okay? You start in the background, and I'm going to move the palette out of my way just a little bit. You start in your background. So the background to this is going to be our leaves. Let me hold this paper so that I can turn it. And I apologize, I've got sinus issues going on. Okay, so what I like to do is pull in my stems first, or a center vein. That can be drying. So we'll do just a couple there. So on this bud, this is the background, okay? Oops. And be careful if you do that to make sure that you definitely wipe that glass off, because the smear will show in the firing. So you dispense a generous amount. It can just be a wavy line, it can be a straight line. Remember, I have the medium in my brush, and I'm just going to kind of touch and pull. And then I'm going to wipe off any excess over here on a paper towel. And then I'm going to put a line here and about halfway down the sides. You don't need to go all the way, because when you pull your strokes, that's going to bring it down for you. And I kind of lost my line here, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And just touch and pull, touch and pull, touch and pull. And then we'll go back and put a little calyx or a little dot there. And it almost looks like it's green, but it's not. I think it's just the lighting. Okay, so on your leaves, just a little. You can do one side at a time, and I'm not going to go all the way down. I've left a little bit of a space. Press and pull, touch and pull, touch and pull, touch and pull. And when you do the touch or a little bit of a push to it, that also will give it that jaggy edge. So I'm not going to start all the way down. I'm going to start part of the way up. So I've left the bottom of that leaf open because I'm going to pull that. See that stroke? And I'm constantly turning, press and pull, because you're going to basically fill that in. Okay, and now I'm going to do these two leaves. Once again, I'm going to add my center vein. Make sure that keep your tip free of any excess dried product that could be deposited on your piece. And be fairly generous. I would say the thickness of like a pencil lead would be a good, excuse me, press and pull, press and pull. See how I'm giving it just a little bit of a push, 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 push. Okay, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so you can see a close-up. Now, I've wiped my brush on the paper towel, but I'm also, and I'm going to bring that into view, I also like to come into my well that has the glass medium in it and just rinse that brush out good. Because of this being a no fire and a low fire, what's going to happen is if you keep any product in there and you don't get it rinsed out well, it's going to turn hard as a brick. It's going to ruin your brush, okay? So every 3 or 4 elements that you're piping, make sure you rinse it. Sometimes I do it every time if I feel like it's too heavy on there. It's just a habit. Okay, so let's do another line. And I'm not standing this bottle up. I'm laying it flat up inside the paper towel. That helps so I don't get any air pockets also, because that's the last thing you need is a great big air bubble that's pushed out onto your piece, and you got to figure out how to get it off of there. Pull, press and pull, press and pull. Turn so that it's easy for you, and remember your pattern is a guide. It doesn't mean that that's what it has to be. It can be a different size. Don't worry about that. Okay, so now I'm going to go down here and do this one, and our leaves are behind. So once again, I'm going to put a vein, and when I'm doing this, I'm actually dragging on the glass. I'm touching the glass and dragging. It's not going to scratch the glass. It is a stainless steel tip, but it will not scratch it. You'll be fine. And the glass will heal in the firing. Okay, so I'm going to start up here, generous amount. Put my bottle back in my damp paper towel. Pull, press and pull, press and pull, press and pull. If you're slower, then only do one side at a time. Press, 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 press. You do not have to do, you don't have to squeeze out both sides. So each time I'm rinsing my brush with the medium and I'm pinching to get to that flat so that I've got what I want to do my strokes. Sorry, I've got to spin this back around. Okay, so we're going to go out here and do this one. We're not starting at the very end. We're leaving a little bit of a gap there because your stroke, you're going to pull that stroke down. So press, press, press. Wipe out on your paper towel. Okay, so now I'm going to do back petals. generous amount. Notice I'm still not coming all the way down because I'm going to let my strokes do that for me, because it's going to pull down. I'm going to rinse, pinch, part of the way, pull, pull, press and pull. And here's another one. And this would apply, this is of course glass, but if you were doing a non-fired surface, like the Christmas ornaments that I've done, same principle. It's just gonna look different because it's not on a slick surface. So you'll see a little more of your brush strokes on those surfaces. Okay. So then the front ones, you have on this particular bud, the two side petals are behind the one in the middle. So I want to do those side ones first. So I'm going to just go up a little bit, angle over, and back down part of the way. Because again, you're going to pull that stroke. And on these little ones, I've turned my brush to the side a little bit so that I can sneak it in there. Wipe out the excess, and then I'm going to go back over to this other one. You can see that. And I'm going to go up and across. And you got to be careful, because when you're going on top of something you've already done, where that's thin, it's already starting to dry, and your tip can drag on that surface. So just be aware of that. If you feel something rough, that's what that is. Okay, now we're going to do the middle one. Press and pull. And the more you press or push up, that just gives it, like I said, more bumps, more character. Okay, then I'm going to do my stem. And then at the stem, I need something to attach. So I just kind of made like a, excuse me, a V shape. And then let's add this leaf in here real quick. I think you can see that. Press, 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 press. Alright, so I'm going to wait to do this. I want to start doing some, try to work from the top to bottom. You just need to think about where your hand's going to lay, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start on these back petals here. So once again, I'm going halfway up so that I can pull that stroke down. Okay. Dispense a generous amount. This line can be straight, it can be wavy. It's whatever works for you. I like to do them irregular, that way I don't have to be perfect if they're all the same. If they're all bumpy, then that's good. Okay. Press, 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 press. It's like little feathers. You don't need much pressure, just enough that you're grabbing just the edge of that line. Press and pull, press and pull. So this particular style can be used on pretty much any type of shape. You can use the same manner, you know, pipe out your line, pull in your strokes, and it just would depend on what your element was, whether it was a piece of fruit, flower, leaf, animal fur. It doesn't matter. So press and pull, press and pull. Little light feathery strokes. Now, once we get this back row done, we will let this set and dry a little bit before we do the next, but we can do one of the other corners. Press and pull, press and pull. And it's okay if that stroke goes into the next layer, your inner layer, because it'll be covered up when you do your next set of petals. Press and pull, press and pull. Okay, so this is the black low fire, no fire piping paste. Comes in white also. It comes in that 4-ounce jar I showed you. When you're using it and you're filling your bottles, fill your bottles when you're ready to work. Don't leave it in the bottle because it is going to harden because air is going to get to it. I want to show you, they have a seal on them, okay? And so what you need to do is make sure, what I did was I just filled the other one and I wanted to show you this. Make sure that you keep these sides down on your jar, meaning keep all the product down there, because anything that dries on this edge, on the sides of the wall of the jar, will not reconstitute, okay? So try to keep it all down in there as much as you can, just because that doesn't reconstitute. Keep your lid on it. You can even put it in a baggie. If you lived somewhere where it was really warm, like Florida, Arizona, especially because it's so dry out there, you could even set that in the refrigerator to keep it cooler. But you can thin it with the medium, the glass medium, with a couple of drops at a time. I like to put it in my bottle, and then if it's set for a day or two, I'll open it up, check it, and I'll add 1 or 2 drops of the medium, shake it really well. I'm going to scoot that one back just a hair. And that helps liquefy it a little bit more, okay? All right, so then while that's drying a little bit, we're going to do this one here. Remember, you don't have to start all the way at the end. And I want to show you, even if I just do a wavy, not quite as zigzaggy, when I do my strokes, press and pull, you can create that by just a little bit of a push, and you've got a different texture to your leaf. So play with that. I think there's some fun things that you can do. Okay, so I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to add my stem. Years ago, I used to do this using a cake decorating bag. So if you like to do cake decorating, you like that better than squeezing a bottle, then absolutely use that method if it works better for you. It kind of just depends on your hands, really. Okay, so press and pull. And I think one of the things that I was talking to somebody about on the ornaments that I've done, they were showing me a picture of theirs, and I made a suggestion. Anytime that you're doing this type of work or brush work or anything, think about where your lines are going. Some of their lines were straight across. So what I'm saying is, here's your leaf, okay? And remember, this is your stem down here. So everything starts from your stem. So all of these strokes need to be pulled towards that center vein and down towards the stem, because you're putting the veins in there as you're doing it. Okay, the same principle applies when you're doing that petal. So if this is your center of your flower, then each stroke needs to aim to the center. Don't get off center. And as you're turning your piece, look at each element and see where that line. So now I'm going to turn this a little bit so I can do this one, and I'm going to be aiming down. So pay attention to the brush as I'm doing this one so that you get a feel for the direction that you need to pull your strokes, because it makes a difference. It's a huge difference, and it takes time to get used to that. And I stop and I think about exactly where I'm going before I do each stroke. It may look like I do it, effortlessly, but trust me, you always stop and think about it no matter what. Pull, pull, pull. Okay, so you're creating that vein, so you need to swoop it and come in towards the stem. And I'm always constantly turning my work. And I'm going to put this stem in real quick, let it dry. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so let's work on this bud over here. And like I said, the pattern is just a guide. So this is going in towards that stem. It should be aimed towards that. It's just something to get in the back of your mind as you're drawing. It doesn't matter if you're painting, glass painting, ceramic painting, it doesn't, whatever you're doing, acrylics, if you'll think about where it grows from. Now there are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, that rule is going to apply. It does to the things I do anyway. Press out. Thickness of the line. Remember about the thickness of a pencil lead. If you find that the pink tip, maybe it's hard to squeeze, or you think it's harder, make sure you flush your tip, and I'll go over that in a minute, how to clean it constantly, like probably halfway through your project. If it's this is like a 5x5, okay? We do have a white tip that is bent, which is nice. It's a larger opening, so if you have arthritis or you have problems squeezing, you may want to buy that tip separately, or send me a note that you'd like to swap out the white tip for one of the other colors, like the yellow one, and just stick with the two larger tips to do this. I know my seniors, that's what I recommend for them. It's easier on their hands. All right, so we're gonna come in, and this one's hard to do because I gotta anchor myself. We're gonna go up a little ways, swoop across, and part of the way back down. And now we're gonna pull, 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 pull. I'm gonna go back and fine tune that edge there. Okay, and I'm doing the side ones before I do that center. Because that center one, I want it to give the impression that it is on the top. Okay, pull, pull, pull. Remember when I went to the bud, I kind of turned it on its side a little bit, the brush, so that I was able to get in those tight spaces. All right, so let's do the middle one here. And I could feel a little bit of a drag because those thinner areas that are down here at the bottom start to dry. Press and pull, always pulling down towards that stem. Okay, so we have our stem. We just need to create that calyx that holds it together. And it's just kind of a U shape or a V shape. Okay, Alright, so then we've got a little leaf down here. It's fairly small, so we don't need a whole lot. I'm going to turn, press, press, and pull, and pull. And I'm turning. So even on that one, I have to turn because I need my strokes to come towards me, because if they don't, you don't get that veining. And if you need to draw out on your pattern the lines like I've done here, I've done that many times for people because they're like, I just don't understand the direction. So draw it on your design so that you can visually see it, and it keeps you going in the correct direction. Okay? All right, so let's go over here and put a vein in. I'm going to turn to work on it. Press, press, push, press. Okay. Constantly rinsing, wiping your brush. And technically I should have done this stem before I did these petals, but because they're away from the edge, I think we're good. Okay, so I'm gonna, and you can see sometimes I don't even follow my pattern. I've just, it's a guide. It's a visual to make sure I get something there in that space. Turn it a little. Okay. All right, the next one. Okay, try not to drag your arm in it. I'm trying to make sure my sleeve is not going to get caught in it. All right, let's do this one. Press and pull, press and pull. Okay, rinse. All right, so now we can go back and do the center petals. Same thing, halfway up the side, across the top, and halfway down the other side. Press and pull, press and pull. If you don't have enough there, then you don't end up with this edge or the thicker, and you see the thicker parts around the sides. It just makes the petal. It separates the petal. So even if you have to go back and add a little bit, so let's say, oops, I want to add, excuse me, another little tinge right there, so I can do that. Okay, and the next one, and I'm overlapping on top of those strokes that I did before. So press and pull, press and pull. Okay, so press and pull. Keep turning your work so that it's easy for you to work on. You don't want to have to work against yourself and be upside down. Constantly turn, make it comfortable. Press and pull, press and pull, press and pull. Press and pull. Okay. Now I'm going to rinse my brush real well because I don't want to leave any of that in there. Also going to rinse it in water after I clean it with the medium so that I don't have anything left in there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to show you how to clean, and this is a really old syringe. You get the syringe with your kit. You want to do a half a turn to take the tip off. There's a little cap closure with your bottle. That's just so if you're going to leave product in there, that keeps it nice and airtight. Like I said, put it in a Ziploc bag. So what I did was half a turn to put it on, half a turn to take it off. If you keep turning it, you'll never get it off, okay? Keep the bottle laying on its side so that you don't get those air pockets in there. I pulled up some water. Same thing, the syringe has a lure lock end. Press and half a turn, okay? And then what you're going to do is pull water up and down until you clean that tip out. And like I said, I would do it, this is a 5x5, about halfway through your project. I'm going to do it just right before we get ready to do some of the detail. And I always leave my syringe ready to go if I need it. Now, there's a little green Q-tip looking thing that comes with your kit, and I do not have one here, but you would take that and get inside there and clean out any other residue and flush it again. If you're careful, you can put your brush in there and clean it. Just make sure you clean your brush with your medium and the water again, okay? Anytime you clean your tips and you put them back on, there still could be water in there. So you want to squeeze out just a little bit to make sure that you don't have water that's going to be on your piece that you're working on, okay? All right, so we need to go back over here to this bud and add that little calyx to that. Okay, now what I've got on here, these little lines and dots, I call them doofers for a better name. I have no idea. But they're little fillers, they're added things. Now, you definitely need to make sure your brush is pinched on the chisel edge because we are going to be using that chisel edge to do this particular stroke. So you place your dots in a triangle formation, and I start with the center one, okay, and I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit closer so you can see this. Okay, so I've got 3 dots, and then I'm going to just catch the top of that pile of color and slice through it and drag to a point that I want it to be at, okay? So let's do another one here. I've got quite a few on here. So I'm going to make a generous dot, triangle shape. Once again, make sure that your brush is pinched and on the chisel edge. And you're going to slice through that, and I'm going down right between the leaf and the stem is where I'm headed. So some of these I drew lines in, some of them I didn't. But there again, if you need that visual, like we did on the leaves, you just make your 3 dots, okay? And then know where all of those lines are going to go when you pull them. Okay? So we'll just keep going and do some more. And as far as spacing, just depends on how much room, you want between them. You can put them tighter together. You can actually make leaves with them if you want. That's another day. Okay, so let's do, I'm going to move these in a little closer than what I had them on my pattern, because I just quickly sketched this out. And a lot of times when I'm doing a design, I build it as I go, because I'll probably add more things to this, but it's a starting point. Okay, 3 dots. Okay, oops, I'm gonna condition my brush again. It looked a little dry. Pull. And I can tell you that this particular thing, the doofer, is much easier on the glass than it is on an ornament that I was doing. It just slides so much easier on the glass. It doesn't hang up like it does on the surfaces of the ornaments. But just like anything, you get used to it. Excuse me. And make adjustments. The more you do of something, the better you get at it. Okay, so dots, pull this down. Slice, slice, slice. So let's look at those close up now, so you can kind of see. Aren't those pretty? So there's a lot you can do with those. Okay. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's see. This one, I'm going to adjust where these are too, because maybe my leaf got bigger, so you need to think about that and make those adjustments as you're going. That's why it is just a guide. You've really got to, don't be so concerned about it being exactly perfect as the pattern. Adjust it as you go. I tend to paint bigger than my pattern, and that's just something I've always done. So I know to leave myself some room. Okay, I got one down here, and this one needs to be adjusted a little bit because our leaf turned and it was longer than I originally had planned. But like I said, it's not a big deal. Okay. Alright, so I've got one here. I'm going to adjust it a little bit too. You can always change the direction that you want to pull. Maybe, your leaves are bigger than you thought, and all of a sudden, maybe you don't have room for it. Like these down here, I'm not sure that I want to do those yet. But I do think I'll put some over here. Okay. Slice, slice, slice. Tie those together. Okay, let's go back to our center, and you could do grid work, you could do dots, you could even come in and take some of your enamels like the copper, silver, some of your sparkles, and you could accent in the middle, which I think I still will do, but I'm going to do dots. And I like to start in the middle and then work myself out. And I go in between the first dots that I put down for the next layer coming out. And it's really to your liking. I think I need one right there. Okay, you could even put dots in the background. That would work. Let's do a doofer over here. And you can dress this up as much as you want. You can make it as simple as you want. That's really to each person's taste. I tend to sometimes go overboard. Imagine that. those of you that know me. Now on this bud, I'm going to put just like 3 dots in there, just so you see a little bit of a center. Same thing over here, maybe just a couple. And then I'll dress that up with probably, let's see, maybe some silver in the black. That would be very dressy. Okay, now I'm going to take this tape off because I want another doofer down here to fill in. And so I'm looking at the space in the background, what I need to fill that area, or do I need to fill that area? Slice, slice. Much easier on the glass than the ornament. Definitely were. I just got done doing a whole bunch of ornaments. Some of you know that. Okay. So let's get rid of this one too. I think we need to add some down here on this end. Okay. Let's do one out here. And I'm thinking I want one right here. And there's quite a gap over here, so I think I'll do another one over here. Okay, you've got another bud here. So let's do a few centers. Now, you can sign your name with the bottle also. You would have to find you a place that you wanted to put it, your signature. I think if I were going to do it, I would hide it over here. And I'm just going to do my first initial and last name because of the space that I have to work with. And also, I mean, if you want to date it, you can put the year. Okay. Whoops, my paper of course moved. Hold on one second. Let's do this. So that you can see all the different areas. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out. Whoops, wrong way. Okay. Very nice. I will let this dry, and then, like I said, I've got some silver sparkle here that I've mixed up. Always double check your consistency. Once you mix your dry powders with your glass medium, stick your tool, the pointed end of the tool, the rounded end, into it, and lift it out. It should drip by the count of, let me see if I can show you, 3 to 4. This is a little thick, so I'm going to add a few more drops. And you'll get more familiar with how much medium to how much powder as you work with the product. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's okay for dotting. If I were painting and flooding with it, I would probably add a couple more drops. We have our new dotting tools that come in different sizes. I think I got a couple of them here. I wasn't thinking about that. Hold on one second. Sure. Can't get a hold of it. Okay, there's 2 of them. And there is a third one. And I'm not sure where it's, oh, here it is. Okay, so let's look at those so you can see you've got 3 different sizes that you can work with. Okay, and these are our tools. They come in a set. I believe they're on sale right now. So check that out. I'm going to use the middle one, which is the number 4. Let me get this back over here. Okay. And I'm just going to dip into the paint and make sure I have some on the tip of that. See that? And then I'm going to, whoop, that's too much. You don't want it dripping off of your tip. You want to be able to control where it's going. But this will kind of dress it up. Could you put other colors? Sure. I just happen to have this ready and mixed up. I'm working on another project, so it sounded like a good thing. And then don't forget you've got, now, because my dots are a little closer, and you just rinse those in water, I'm going to switch to the smaller tool. Let's see, I think I did this one first. Just double check yourself. Okay. And then let's get this one. Oh, we'll get one on this other little bud. You see that one? Oop, that's almost too much. Okay, so something else that you might do, and I'm just kind of, once I said I just build it as I go, a lot of times whatever feels right. I'm looking for a brush. I wasn't thinking about doing this, but I think I want to do it now. Okay, so let's say I want to bring out some lines coming out like stamens. So what I'm going to do is I've got a liner brush. This is our 2600 5/0, and maybe I just pull just some fine lines coming out from that center. Looks like all my dots are filling in the middle. So, but that's okay. I kind of like the look of it. So you could dress this up as much as you wanted. It's really your personal preference on how much you want on there. Maybe you want it simple. Maybe you like a lot of glitz and glimmer. So I think on the buds, what I'm going to do is just put a little bit coming up from the bottom, from the calyx, and just add a little touch. Let's go down here to this one. And I should be pulling that stroke towards myself. Okay, I think you can see this as I'm doing it. And it just kind of skips along, because remember your piping paste is textured, so it may take a couple of little strokes in that area. And then don't forget your little bud down in the corner. Okay. If you wanted larger dots, you can actually use the handles of brushes. Okay, these are different sizes. For instance, I have one here that's really big. So depending on the size, if you wanted to put larger dots, for instance, in the background, I also think I want, before I do that, because I will put some, is like just along this side of the center vein. I want to come in and just kind of come right down. Doesn't matter which side. I'm not worrying about that right now. I just want a little shimmer. And this is going to be really subtle. It's not going to show up a lot. But it'll just be a hint. Just to give it, or you could go right across, that one happened to go right across the vein on that one. So, okay. It's, like I said, dress it up, put your own spin on it, your own style. Everybody has a style. A lot of people can look and say, oh, that's Paula, because we tend to do things the same way on a lot of different elements, no matter what we're painting with. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. I like that silver. That's a nice, glad I decided to do that. So now I'm going to do some dots in the background. So I need to pick out the size. I think I'm just going to use my liner brush and use the tip of it. Let me pull that back, I'm sorry. Okay, so it's about 3 times the size of the largest dotting tool. So once again, you're going to go down into your color. This is the enamel, and I'm going to just put a dot. Stirring that up a little bit. And if you load for every dot, you will have the same size dot. If you don't, you're going to have graduated dots. And because my design is so random, if I had more room in the background, I could actually show you how you could make an actual pattern. I think I did that on the dotting tool video. If you're interested in that one, you can go back and look at it. So what you do is you space out, and then the next row up is in between the last 2 that you did, is how that works. But my design's going all different directions, so I'm going to have to change possibly where I put these dots. And again, I apologize. I have a sinus infection, and I decided to do this video today. So, thanks for sticking with me through the voice problem. Okay. Alright, so I'm just adding those. So basically, I'm creating almost like a, looks like a wallpaper design would be a good way to refer to it, I think. And let's add a little one there, and maybe one there. I need one there. Where else? I think add one there. Okay, I think I like that. Again, rinse that off. Okay, so this is a single layer. You could put a colored background on this, by all means. A white, light gray would be really pretty to go with the silver. You could do a wispy white. There's all different types of things you could do. I'm going to keep this a single layer just because of the class that I'm making this for. So your minimum temperature is 1380 to cure the product. Full fuse is recommended. So you can put the paste between layers if you're just doing line work. I wouldn't recommend it if you're going to do all this detail, because you got all these different layers, and then what happens is air pockets get trapped and you're going to have bubbles in there. Okay, this particular piece I'm working on is 96 COE. It's a nice smooth surface. I'm going to do another one with white paste, and I'm going to do it on 90. And then with the white, I think I'll add probably the gold sparkle to it. Okay, and I'll show you the finished pieces at the end of the video. Thanks for joining me.